Okay, have you ever stopped to think about rules that were made to last forever? I'm not talking about school rules or even laws for a country. I mean rules for the entire universe. Today, we're diving into this really big idea from our source material, the concept of laws that were designed to never ever change. So to get started, picture the most important treasure chest in the whole universe. Seriously. But it's not filled with gold or diamonds or anything like that. It holds something way more valuable. And the text we're digging into today says this chest isn't even on Earth. It's in a temple in heaven. So the big question is, what could possibly be inside?
Well, our source paints this incredible picture. It describes a vision where God's temple in heaven is opened up for all to see. And right there, in the most holy place, is the Ark of the Covenant. And what our source makes really clear is that this isn't some copy. Nope, this is the original, the actual blueprint for the one we read about in the Old Testament.
So that brings up a pretty important question, right? What makes this heavenly ark so special? What's the big deal? Well, according to the material we're looking at, the answer is all about what it was built to protect. Inside that ark are the 10 Commandments. Now, the text describes these as more than just a list of rules. It calls them a transcript of God's character. Think about that. These are presented as the forever rules, the absolute foundation for how the entire universe is supposed to run. And just to show how permanent these rules are, the text points us to this quote. Now, a jot and a tittle, what are those? They're like the tiniest little pen strokes in writing, like dotting an I or crossing a T. The point here is that not even the smallest detail of this law is ever going to change. It's locked in. It's forever. Okay, so within those 10 big rules, our source material really zooms in on one of them. It describes this particular one as being like the Creator's own special signature on his work. And that would be the fourth commandment. It's this call to action, to remember the Sabbath day, and to treat it as a special, holy time, a time to rest and connect with the one who made everything. So what is the Sabbath really? According to our source, it's basically a memorial of creation. You can almost think of it like a weekly birthday party for our planet. It's this constant, built-in reminder of who the Creator is, making sure we never, ever forget that crucial fact. And the source gives us a few huge reasons why this one commandment is such a special sign. First, it points right to God as the Creator. I mean, that's the whole reason for worship, right? It also acts as this sign of loyalty, this weekly reminder that, yeah, He made us, and we're His. But, this brings up a bit of a puzzle. If this law is supposed to be unchanging, and the seventh-day Sabbath is this super important memorial, how did so much of the world end up doing something different? The source we're looking at suggests that a major switch-up happens somewhere along the way. And this is really the core question our source material wants us to wrestle with. If the seventh day was set up to be this permanent sign of the Creator, why is it that a huge part of the Christian world now observes the first day of the week, Sunday instead? I mean, where did that change even come from? Our source lays it out pretty clearly, side by side. On the one hand, you've got the original command. The seventh day is the Sabbath. And on the other hand, it points to a big historical change, even quoting a Catholic catechism that says the Church itself substituted Sunday for Saturday. And to back this up, the material points to writers who actually claim this change as a mark of the Church's authority. The argument being presented is that when other churches observe Sunday, they are, maybe without even realizing it, tipping their hats to the power of the Church that made that change in the first place. And this is where things get really, really serious. According to our source, this isn't just some historical debate about days of the week. It frames this whole issue as the central point of a huge final conflict where every single person is going to have to choose a side. So, to explain this conflict, the text uses these symbols from the book of Revelation. Let's break it down. First, there's the dragon, which it says is a symbol for Satan, who worked through ancient Rome. Then, that power is followed by a leopard-like beast, which the source identifies as the papacy, the very same power it says changed the Sabbath. And finally, there's a two-horned beast, representing the United States, which the source predicts will create an image to the beast, which is basically a system to enforce these new, changed rules. This all leads us to the famous, or maybe infamous, mark of the beast. Now, our source is very specific here. It says this isn't a computer chip or a tattoo, it's a mark of allegiance. It argues that a person gets this mark when they understand the whole issue and then consciously choose to obey the Sunday rule, the one set up by the beast's authority, instead of God's original command for the Sabbath. It's all about who you're choosing to follow. So in the end, the text says that all of humanity is going to be split into just two groups. That's it. On one side, you'll have the people who keep all of God's commandments.
honoring that original sign of the Creator. And on the other side, you'll have those who follow the authority that changed the law, which the source describes as worshiping the beast and its image.
And that brings us to the final, thought-provoking question this material leaves us with. It claims a choice is coming for every single person, a test of our ultimate loyalty. And the question isn't just about what day you rest, it's about who you worship. Is it the Creator, identified by his original sign? Or is it a different power? The source argues that this choice, well, it's the one that will define everything.